Ooh, what is this? What is this? Annie better sleep with one eye open. Annie better sleep with one eye open is all I know, because Annie.
You did.
What I do?
You know you were hella wrong for what you did.
Catch me at
What are you
Sterling
talking
Point.
about?
Catch me at Sterling Point. Let me go ahead and resituate myself, because this is a serious talk, y'all. This is actually a serious talk today. Let me stop because I'm gonna spend 20 more minutes watching that. Today, guys, I just wanted to talk about Prime Video's new bombshell, Prime Video's new revolution, Prime Video's new era, if you will, Prime Video's new show, Sterling Point. Y'all, this show honestly found me at the perfect time. I've been going through me literally about to go into like a depressing statement. We ain't not going there today. This show found me at the perfect time. You know, whenever we have Ryan Murphy's Shards, more like Shards, because why we even chose that name, Shards, coming out, and I tried watching that, which honestly, if y'all want to see a separate video on that, I can make a separate video on that, because I was watching that and I was like, what am I watching? And then luckily, I was like, I'm so tired of watching trash TV. Luckily, I clicked on Amazon. And there it was on my homepage. There it was, Sterling Point, and I said, ooh, what is this? I said, what is this? I said, what is this? Summer's over, but I'm watching. Summer's almost over, but I'm watching. And you know, like, honestly, this show even had, in my opinion, even though it is like a summer show, this show really felt like an end of a summer show. Like, if you watched it, or if you're going to watch it, you'll get what I mean. By the way, this video will have spoilers in it. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it and then get back here, unless you don't care about spoilers. But this show was honestly, it had the perfect vibe. It had the absolute perfect vibe. And I feel like, honestly, it coming out in August was honestly the move, because it does feel like the end of the summer show with the vibe and how the season 1 ended. Also, too, I thought this was based off a book, and it's actually not based off a book. It's actually an original, which even makes it even crazier, because I'm like, finally, because I feel like book adaptations have gotten a little crazy and we've kind of lost the plot. Not that sourcing from a book is bad, because I think it can be so good. I mean, we see it with like Dune and The Odyssey, which, mind you, I've not seen either of them. Giving examples I haven't even seen. But like, we have seen like good book adaptations. Even The Samurai Champloo was decent, but that in itself, like, that was something. But this, it's just so, it's refreshing. It's refreshing. Dare I say, Canada maple syrup refreshing. I really want to try Canada maple syrup, because I've never had it. Anyways, though, I want to talk about Sterling Point and things I liked about it, and kind of just like an overview of the show as a whole. But before we go and talk about that, for those that haven't watched it, or want a small recap, or if you're not going to watch it and just want to watch this review about it, basically, what is Sterling Point? Sterling Point, this girl, her grandfather dies. She don't really know him. I think that's sad. Grandfather dies, and she finds out, she's from New York, she finds out that her and her adopted brother were left in the will. And so then she decides to go investigate, being like, what are you, like, we have land in Canada, like, let me go investigate Canada. She goes to Canada, figures out another girl that lives in her grandfather's cottage, her cabin, is also part of the family. So she's like, now I have a sister. Now she's confused. She goes to that. So basically, we kind of watch this unravel as she's in a new location, new family member unlocked, and we watch her traverse the unknown. That was probably the worst recap I've ever given. I'm not really good at recaps, mind you. I didn't write one down. This is what I get for trying to freestyle a recap. This girl, grandfather dies. She goes to Canada, finds out she has a sister, and that kind of unravels, and we kind of see this whole entire new group of people and how like their own like drama kind of intertwines with it. There's love interest. There's boats. There's lakes, waters, there's lots of money involved about selling the island. There's also talks about that. There's rich people. The story, honestly, this show has a really good vibe. And that's what I love whenever a show or movie has, when it has a very distinct good vibe. Like, this show gives lake cabin. It gives late summer evenings. It gives the end of summer. I also saw on Prime Video Every Year After, and I tried watching that. I couldn't even get through episode 1. I don't know if I think it's a book adaptation. But yeah, I tried watching it every year after, and the cast and the acting and the vibe was not there. Now, Sterling Point, the cast and vibe and acting are there. Let me tell y'all, it is there. It is there. So y'all need to go, honestly, get me as an ambassador for the show. Get me as an ambassador for the show. And one thing I really do like about this show that I feel like a lot of other series, especially like, not even like, especially like love shows, like I think Summer I Turn Pretty every year after. Granted, I didn't even watch it every year after, so I really can't speak on it. What I like about this show is relationships, or like the love interest, whatever, like a love triangle, isn't the main purpose of the show, which I really, really enjoy, because especially after watching Summer I Turn Pretty, which I do get the whole entire point of the Summer I Turn Pretty was like kind of like the love triangle. I get that's not what this show is going for, and I really enjoy that, because not only do we have that, but we also have this major mystery with a family and that plot, but we also have other countering acting parts of like the plot, and basically you were honestly following all three siblings in a way with this show, which I really like. Like each sibling kind of has their own story arc and like what they're going through. But it also has really good acting. I know I've seen some people say the acting is kind of corny, which I do get, but the thing about the acting for me is like, yeah, some of it is kind of corny. It feels very real. It feels very, I was like, whoever wrote this really knows Gen Z. I'm like, even though I don't necessarily act like the characters in the show, I know of people that act more like them. Like I think back to whenever I was in high school, mind you, it was just literally just a couple months ago. There's 100% people that act like this. And not that it's bad or anything like that, but I'm just saying like, it's very real. Like I'm like, whoever did this, like it's a little bit cringy, but I'm also like, it's cringy because it's real. Not cringy because it's trying to be real. It actually feels real. Great cast. They really lucked out with this cast. I think that's the problem. Back to every year after, whenever I tried watching episode 1, I could never get into the cast. Cast was not doing it for me. They were not doing it for me. This cast, however, this is a good cast. This is a good cast. Each of them really hold their own. Really good cast, really good acting. They did phenomenal with that. And everybody's face card don't be declining. Like, it's happy to have representation in a TV show. You know, I really feel represented with having face cards on my screen, because I'm like, finally face cards are finally getting representation they need. Because that was another thing too, even about the Summer I Turn Pretty, other than Belly, literally the girl that, I don't even know her name because I didn't even watch it, but every year after that main actress and Belly from Summer I Turn Pretty, I'm like, those are gorgeous women. And then you have the guys, then you have their counterparts, and then I kind of get lost, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, if they were all ugly, then if they were all, like, you can't have somebody that pretty and have those people beside that person. This show, however, though, everybody kind of held their own. They really did, and they're all, like, very, like, unique, and each of them actually have a personality, which really adds on to a character. They were all pretty in their own way. No, but it was good, and I really was invested with the show. And I will say some parts of the show were over dramatic. Like, I immediately think of the bridge scene where Ramona and Annie like meet in the middle of the bridge in the middle of the night, and they just look at each other and they just like, I don't know what I think she says something like, "Are you coming?" And then they just walk off, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, that was a little dramatic. Like, the show definitely has some dramatics to it where it's like, what was the point of that scene? But for the most part, I feel like they've done a good job with making it all just feel very real. Like, it wasn't over dramatic, even though like, there definitely is some like over dramatic like hints in the show. But the love triangle, one thing I did like about this love triangle between Rory, Annie, and Ellis was they didn't make one of the guys like the key option, which I think we all, at least for me, the way I understood it was immediately was going to be Ellis from the beginning, because that's how shows usually do it. Like, he was the first one to show up. It was a slow burn. And God, I'm a sucker for a slow burn. That's probably honestly my favorite trope. My favorite trope is a slow burn. And matter of fact, honestly, that actually was one of my pet peeves with the show, was the slow burn wasn't slow burning enough. It should have been even slower. It really should have, because they kind of jumped into it, which we'll get into in a second. But no, they didn't make Rory out to be this bad guy. Granted, I don't really like Rory still. Like, there's something like there, and I think maybe it's because he's, I don't want to say because he's rich, but like, I think it just feels more shallow to me. It feels more surface level relationship compared to with Ellis. Because, like, son, Ellis be giving her gifts. He fixed that lamp up for her. He made her a drawing. They were sitting there getting drawn. Like, oh my. Annie, count your days. Annie, actually count your days. Because I will be coming to Starling Point. I will be coming. I will be there. No, but they didn't make either option like very like distinct. Even though, like I said, I feel like it's still very clear that Illis was gonna be the number one option. And also a yearning man. I'm gonna move on to the next topic because I can only spend the whole entire video talking about this. But y'all, a yearning man, that is a trope I like to see. That is a trope I like to see. That is a trope I like to see. Okay, last thing I'll say about this, the closet scene. Y'all, the closet scene. Like cinema. Actually cinema, because the way that whole entire thing went down where he pulled her closer with the chair and went in for a hug first, that was so important. The hug was so important in that scene. And then being in the lighting, God. I mean, she even Annie described it was a perfect kiss. Girl, we saw you scrunching up on his shirt. We saw that. Girl, I would be too. But also too, the other counterparts in the show, like Una and Ramona, absolutely love that. Love their dynamic. I'm actually happy they ended off the way they did because it 100% is going to carry on into season 2. If there is a season 2, I'm not sure if it's been renewed yet. It probably has. But no, I like how they actually ended the relationship off. I liked how we kind of had this we had this back and forth with them. And it was a complicated relationship, which I love because they could have easily made it a surface level relationship and not really gotten to, I don't say the theatrics, but like the messiness of it, you know, which I really, really did enjoy because it's important that they actually like represented that and not just used it as like a check mark off and to move on. And this isn't really a relationship, but I was kind of picking up a vibe. Connor and Sully. Now, here's my thought process on this. I would be really, really happy if they're just really good friends, which honestly I kind of hope they do go for. But I was picking up some breadcrumbs because they also had a lot of scenes together. I was picking up a little bit of breadcrumbs here and there. I said, what's going on? I said, they like really like each other's company. And I like that trope too. I love whenever a trope isn't initial like attraction or love interest, but it's the simple fact of you like being around that person and you don't really notice it until like you actually like it gets brought up and you're like, wait a minute, like I kind of do miss that person. So I do like that trope too. Like I would love if they were just good friends, had like their own like little tiny brotherhood because that would just be sweet, I think. But I was picking up the breadcrumbs. I was picking up the little breadcrumbs. I said, what's going on here? I said, my eyes are batting. But I would also love if they were just best friends. The dialogue, this kind of goes back into what I said earlier with the acting. The dialogue feels very, very Gen Z. Episode 1, I was watching this because episode 1, you get really introduced to all the characters. And I thought, this feels very real. This feels very, very natural. I was like, this doesn't feel like a script or like I said, somebody trying to act like Gen Z or what they think Gen Z is like. I'm like, this kind of is like, kind of our humor in a way. It feels genuine. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I was like, this is good. Like, this is good writing. This is good Gen Z humor. I was like, even though it is a little bit cringy, I'm like, it's cringy because it feels real. So that was really good. Now, the next thing is the setting and the vibe. The setting and the vibe, like I said, you know a show's good whenever it has a distinct, like, vibe to it. Like they really built the world around Sterling Point. Because even when I'm picturing Sterling Point, I already have a vibe in my head. It kind of reminds me of, I recently just watched Spider-Man Brand New Day, which also was a great movie. But that movie too, it has a great Queens, Brooklyn, New York aesthetic. And it makes you want to go there. And I think a show is good whenever it has such a good, distinct aesthetic that not only can you immediately picture of it whenever you hear it, but you like want to go there and like experience that world. So the vibe and setting, absolutely amazing. Like I said, it has that perfect end of summer vibe. And that's how you know you've done a good job. That's how you know you've done a good job whenever you really capture that. Now, the last thing we'll talk about is the ending. Absolutely loved the ending. It wasn't this big like finale, like all or nothing is lost. It kind of felt mundane in a way, but also not nothing. Like, I love the parallel between Annie and Ramona swapping places. That scene whenever she says, what should we do? And it cuts to New York and the automatic blinds are opening and Ramona like sits up in bed. Like, y'all did y'all's big one. Y'all did y'all's big one with that. But them swapping places, absolutely love that parallel. It also sets it up for season 2. I'm happy they honestly didn't go through like I said, nothing crazy with like selling the island or doing any of that, because that would have, I mean, we would still get the fallout next season if there is a next season, like with that, if they went that route. But this way, it feels so much more open now, and it feels much more real because it isn't this big resolve. It's more, like I said, like mundane. But yeah, guys, that Sterling Point, y'all need to go watch it. Let me know y'all's thoughts down below in the comments. I absolutely loved the show. And there's so much more I could talk about, but these are just a couple points I want to make. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know, like I said, down below your comments if you guys are going to watch it, or if you've watched it and what you thought of it. No, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.
you.